Outside the tent, mist blocked the sun and hid the path to Eagle Peak East, the rightmost of the 3 summits of the Eagle Rock Group in the Szu-ting mountain range of China. For 9 days, Dave and I had camped a few hundred feet near the base of the peak. We hoped to establish a new line, if only the skies were clear. Nothing had gone as planned thus far during the expedition. Ever since we arrived in Rilan, the small town near the base of the range, our hotel owner, Xiao who asked in her soft voice, "Can you go in the park now?" I still have to make a few phone calls, I would say. As Dave and I struggled to get our climbing permits, I was never sure whether or not I talked with the right people.
So today we're going to go to the store and buy some food, pick up some spices, some lighters, some random camp gear equipment. Tomorrow we should be heading into the mountains and hopefully we'll get another window like this one.
The next morning, our permits were granted.
Today we carried the gear up to the base of the climb, and our chosen route based on photographs was kind of the central feature, a central crack feature that goes right up the middle of it. And not surprisingly, it's also a water drainage area that dries pretty slowly. Szu-ting's up there eating away in this really wet, nasty chimney. And she's found some pins and a bolt. Someone's been here before. We did some research beforehand and didn't see anyone that had climbed the south face here. But it'd be interesting to see how far we find anchors up this face.
Climb up the chimney pitch, and then we are heading up higher just to see what's going on up there because we can't quite see that much. This unfinished line was not our project. We retreated into the vanishing light. Climbing in China not only pushes me physically, but also challenges my mind and my self-identification. In 1998, I carried my mom's dream to the States, where I pursued a PhD degree in computer science. Although I enjoy the process of problem solving, she reminded me that fun shouldn't be my motivation for studying. "Can fun feel you like rice?" she asked. I never could answer the question, but she was thousands of miles away, and I seized the opportunity to wander. One autumn, a friend invited me to go rock climbing. No other outdoor activity had demanded such intimacy. This constant sensation of the rock beneath my hands. I was even more impressed by the way that cams and knots got placed, reclaimed, and reused. It reminded me of programming languages. After graduation, instead of gaining a high-paying, respectable job in my field, I traveled, seeking every opportunity to increase my climbing knowledge. When I first met my future husband Dave, I learned he had been climbing for more than 30 years. But it was Dave's stories of his expeditions to remote places that really fascinated me. His desire to explore wild, unknown places matched my own passion of adventure. Meanwhile, my mom told me that she felt ashamed when her neighbors asked what her daughter did for work. In family photos as a girl, I always wore an elegant dress my mom tailored. Now, my clothes were patched together with duct tape. In phone calls and handwritten letters, I begged my mom to understand how happy I was. I assured her I never went hungry. 5 years later, she declared that she would just pretend she never had me as a daughter.
So today we went up and got our fixed ropes down from the first route that we were trying, and we moved over to the east side of the peak to fix one rope at least up this crack feature that, if anything, seems like it might be our way to the summit. It seems a little bit easier and faster, and with the weather windows being what they are, pretty darn short, yeah, it seems like it might be our only hope. We'll see what the weather brings.
Unfortunately, the weather only got worse. With only a few days left for the expedition, we finally got a forecast that looked promising. Well, it's almost 5 a.m. that we finished breakfast and we're heading up to the base of the cliff to the 10-mile route.
Alpenglow off in the distance, beautiful. Unfortunately, our fixed rope is very, very icy, which the ascenders aren't biting onto. So we're kind of trying a few tricks, see if we can get up this first pitch. Above us, it's a little harder than we thought. Not continuous crack systems, and kind of some friable flakes up there as well. Not inspiring confidence.
The rock quality on the route was actually fairly solid, but there was a lot of grass and moss growing in the cracks. Sometimes after you clean the vegetation away, and you would get a good placement. Other times the crack would turn out to be just a seam. After 260 meters, we arrived at a huge ledge. Just one obvious weakness appeared ahead of me as I led on. Overlapping chalky flakes and a vegetated crack that gave way to nearly blank rock. But up was never the only direction on the climbing map, so I backed down and aimed right toward the skyline.
On the summit! Woo! Yeah!
The mountain had opened up to us, and I was glad we left it as it was. My ideal vision of an alpine first ascent is to find the line, not to create one. For a long time, I thought this idea had been seated in my mind in the States. But I've realized now it could also stem from my wish to coexist with nature in harmony, a value of the culture in which I was brought up. In Chinese philosophy, everything consists of aspects of yin and yang. To strive for balance is to achieve excellence. Dave and I left Baihai's Lake 2 days before the Mid-Autumn Festival. In Yulon, Xiaozhang welcomed our return with freshly baked mooncakes, a pastry with the round shape that resembled the harvest full moon and symbolized family reunion. When my mom disowned me, I wept because I believed our gap was too huge to reconcile. Yet, while I've never accumulated the financial security she dreamed for me, I found principles to help define my existence, similar to the ones she had taught. Be honest, real, and respectful to the world we live in. Almost 30 years ago, as I dozed off in the humid Taiwanese air, I heard my name being broadcasted from the school's reception office. I rushed to the gate to see my mom drenched as a result of biking from home in the pouring rain. She handed me the lunchbox I'd forgotten. "When can I stop worrying about you?" she said. Feeling the warmth of the mooncake in my hand and the sweetness on the tip of my tongue, I wanted to reassure my mom. I will always find rice.